restrictions. So when he does things like, oh, really? What he means is, so what time were the vaccines administered? Oh, 12 to 18 months. He's still doing the maths for us.
We're not sure, but that the data that I've collected seems to indicate that's a possibility. Because some of the embalmers didn't start seeing the white fibrous clots until the middle of 2021, after a certain event happened earlier that year.
Look at everyone in the wonderful world of euphemism tiptoeing their way around guidelines that exist actually precisely to stop this conversation happening. Isn't it unusual? You're aware you're living in an unusual time. It's weird, isn't it?
Let's go back a bit. 2020.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people getting the Wuhan version of the SARS coronavirus 2 and then into the alpha. And that's before the vaccine rollout, of course, when this disease was presumably rampant, because there was no vaccination. Were you getting any reports of these white things, whatever we call them, happening in 2020?
I did indeed, John, to a lesser extent. In our first survey, 44 of the embalmers, we got 179 responses from embalmers in our first survey that we did last year. And 44 of those embalmers did see the white fibrous clots. And that makes sense because, like I said, there's a spike protein on the surface of the virus itself. And we believe that spike protein on the virus itself can lead to the formation of these amyloid proteins.
That's interesting because obviously what a lot of people say, no, it's coronavirus that's causing these clots. So it's not the fault of vaccines and therefore science. But then you might think for a few seconds longer about the origins of coronavirus and why it's got that spike protein. And you will be forced to conclude that it emerged from the Wuhan Institute of Virology where they were doing dual purpose research, and you're back to the same culprits.
But then the embalmers saw that explode in 2021. When we had the advent of the rollout of the medical intervention. So many more embalmers saw the phenomenon in 2021. And as we know, there's a rationale for that, right? Because the medical intervention was supposed to stay in your deltoid muscle and produce just enough of the spike protein to elicit an immune response and do that for just a couple of days of a week, and then its job is done. It's got you ready for COVID when it came. But we know now that that's not what happened at all. The medical intervention goes all over your body, turning your whole body into a spike protein factory, and it can do that for months at a time. So the scientists that I've talked to, John, believe that it's exacerbated or supercharged the effect of the formation of these white fibrous clots.
I just have to take a breath, Tom, to pause so I don't get cross. You know, we were told exactly what you said, and it was wrong. These lipid nanoparticles are systemically distributed. They go everywhere. And we're just starting to learn some of the consequences of that. Misinformation, lie, whatever, propaganda, or whatever you want to call it. But we'll stick with we'll just stick with this. So 2021, 2022. Did the amount that we're seeing remain constant 2021, 2022, 2023?
We just checked this year. The percentage of corpses that contain the white fibrous clots went down from an average of about 30% down to 20%.
It's in 2023.
In 2022, it was about 30% of corpses contained these white fibrous clots.
5% of